What's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to Catching Up with Kat. My name is Kat Walsh, and today I have my dad,
Brian Walsh.
He's going to be on talking about real estate, some car stuff. He is my first guest on the show, other than Celeste, my first official guest. So, so here we are. Wanted to jump right in and just have him introduce himself, tell us a little bit about him, what he does, and
Okay. Well, of course, I'm Kat's father and the father of 4 daughters. Kara's my oldest, Nora's my second oldest, Catherine's my second youngest, and Molly is my youngest. Then, of course, Catherine has my granddaughter, Bella. And I own and manage a very, very small real estate company. It was, at one time, it was pretty good size, but I scaled back on managing, and just kind of, between Kat and I, we're just listing and selling now, and I kind of like it that way. Was a pretty eventful couple of years of raising a family, and it was a good experience. And I was lucky to have great people that work with me and help me to raise my family. It's just a different time in my life, and I'm happy to be here. And I guess as far as hobbies go, I'm kind of like Catherine, and I tried motorcycles, but that didn't last very long. And but I do like cars, and I've had a lot of cars, and some fast ones, and regular street cars, and regular drivers, and
drag cars.
Yeah, drag racing cars, and so cars are. I guess that's probably, if I had a hobby, that would be it. And unfortunately, I just picked up a Mustang, so I'm happy about that. It's a 2015 GT with a 6-speed. And, happy with that.
So. Perfect. Yeah, he's definitely where I get my go fast gene from. Even though back then I feel like they didn't make the cars like top speed wise as fast, but he thinks I'm crazy. But
yeah, well, top speed, there's just no need for that. It's fun to go from 0 to whatever really quick and then slow down, but there's no reason to keep your foot in it and
I don't know,
go 200 miles an hour on the freeway or something.
Some can disagree.
Makes no sense. Well, plus I heard that the police are getting so stringent about that they're taking your car and not giving it back. So yeah,
they're using it as criminal tools, they call them.
Yeah, well,
they got drones too now.
Yeah, you got to be crazy to be like I just couldn't wrap my head around going that fast and then keeping my foot in it and covering a lot of ground. I just can't. Even the motorcycles, just. Not my thing.
Yeah. Well, I thought first we could talk about like real estate, keep it business wise in the beginning. Because I just went over in my last video about how I got into the business and having you as my mentor. So I wanted to know what it was like for you when you first got into the business.
Let's see. When I first got in the business, I have to admit I'm more of an introvert, and so and I'm timid. It's not nearly as bad now because I've been pounded just from being around for a while. But I was in car sales for a very short period of time, and that was a little bit intimidating. And then real estate was, I guess part of me was timid, but there was this part of me that was a bull, and I made myself do it anyway. And it's almost funny that I got into sales because of the timidity thing, but. I did, when I got into the business, I worked for a very small discount brokerage, and the 2 partners fought constantly, and it was very, very stressful. And it was a terrible place to learn the business, even though I did get a kind of a crash course in listing because they seemed to be doing pretty well with the discount thing. But it was a terrible place to work. I was there for about 6 months, and then I was going to get out of the business altogether. And I went to another company. A friend of mine worked at this other company, and he said, the business is not like where you work. Come on over here. And so I went to work at another company, and basically I went to work every single day. And I was just, as time went on, the business kind of evolved into something that I really liked, especially the internet wasn't really around yet in our business. And so we had, tractor feed printers and super slow modems and the MLS was proprietary. It wasn't internet based, and there was even these MLS books that had the listings, and it was like the Stone Age, but that's what it was at that time. And so I am an independent person, and I was very, very intrigued as time went on, and I always had questions. And so I'd go into my broker's office and I'd stand there, and when he'd get off the phone, I'd ask my question, and then I'd leave. Then I'd go out on the street and do business and get bloodied up, and I'd come in and he'd hose me off. And you know, as time went on, I got involved with what was considered to be kind of cool software back then, and it's today it's nothing. But there was a software that was available. It was called SOAR MLS, and it would actually hook people up with the listings as they became available. And it's like I said, that's something that's very common today. But in 1990, that wasn't around, and so. And then as time went on, I was anxious to get my hands on my first digital camera, but they were so expensive that I kind of had to wait it out. And I remember my first digital camera was probably this big, and it was high resolution, was 640 by 480. And actually, I don't even really think images are that much bigger today because they get shrunk down. But and I don't even take my own pictures anymore. I hire a photographer to take care of that. But, and then as time went on, I was taking classes so that I could get my real estate broker's license. And at that time, I thought I would eventually want to open up a company. And so I was taking classes. And then after a while, I kind of backed off. And then I thought, I'm not going to open up a company. And then one day I grabbed all my education and I shipped it down to the state. And they said that I had enough classes to take the test. And so I took the exam and I passed, and I got my real estate broker's license and I activated it, but I didn't open my own company. I just stayed with the company I was at. And then over time, there's a book called E-Myth. It's called The Entrepreneurial Myth by a guy named Michael Gerber. He talks about the different reasons why people open up companies. And I basically was upset with the company I worked at. And I thought, well, I can open up my own shop and do it myself. And it's funny because, even if you're good with selling real estate, that doesn't mean you're necessarily good with opening up a company. And so,
yeah, for sure. You got to have a certain mindset. You got to be a certain way to be able to run a whole business. So,
yeah. So anyway, the day came in 2002, I opened up my company, and I thought it would be similar to like a residential rehab, and there would be like this beginning and this end, and it wasn't that way at all. And it was extremely hard, and it was scary. And I had 4 kids at home, and my wife at the time, your mother, she stayed home with the kids. And so the load was pretty heavy. And I remember initially, IKEA delivered the furniture to my office, and they delivered it at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, and I stayed there all day by myself, and I assembled it all by myself. And I remember, I paid to build out this office space, and I remember pulling all the carpet base out and pulling all the staples out and saving it, and just saving every penny I could because it was so expensive to do all this stuff. And then once, the door was open, it was me and my receptionist who came from my last company. And I was, I think my overhead between the house and my, in the business was like $19,000 a month or something. And,
oh my God.
And I had to get people in, and I had a friend of mine that worked at another company, and him and I would brainstorm and talk about things. And the day came where I came up with a program, and the program was, now that I had the program, I had to get the word out, and there were some creative ways that I was able to do that. And basically, I built this lame website. This was back in 2002. I built this lame website, and it gave the information about the programs and stuff like that. And there were no other brokerages in our market that talked about how agents get paid and that kind of thing. And so then it was a matter of getting people to this website. And so I put an article in the K-Board publication. It was a quarterly magazine that went out, and that got people to the web. And next thing I know, people were starting to inquire, and they started joining the company. Between the program, the franchise I was with at the time, and then my reputation, I started to grow. And I think by 2007, 2006, we hit 48 agents. I think that was our peak, 48, 49 agents, and that was the peak. And I think in 2007 we did 1,000 deals. We were cranking pretty good, and the work paid off. And that was another thing I remember, just real quick. I just remember another thing too, where the first 1,100 days that the company was open, I worked every single day from 9 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the morning. I would get home at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'd work on the web stuff until 4 in the morning, 3:30. And I was over 200 pounds, and you guys would grow, and I felt guilty because, I just worked all the time, and I don't necessarily think I needed to do that, but I guess at that time I felt like I did. So.
Yeah, it's a heavy freaking load. I don't know how you do it. I mean, I have one kid, and I'm like, God damn, this is tough. Like, I mean, granted, I'm doing it all alone, but 4 kids and like 48 agents at the peak, I can't imagine. So it's definitely wild. Yeah, I don't know how you did it, but now,
no sense.
But like now, where we're at now, like you've definitely sized down. You've wanted to get rid of a lot of the headaches of managing so many people, and just, I don't know, I guess it can be a lot of liability too. At the end of the day, worrying about so many people and being responsible for so many agents.
Yeah.
But
I think when I look back, when I was 40 and I have a young family and I have all this responsibility, it's kind of like you got it reminds me of the guy in the one movie where he's got the 6x6 over his head, and if he drops it, they're going to shoot him. And that's kind of what it felt like. And you can't really be selective. You're on the hamster wheel, and you got to work, and you got to push, and you got to make things happen. And then I think basically what happened was as the girls graduated from college, and there was relief financially from that. And then some of the stuff that just kind of occurred with the brokerage and just different things. I think in a way, I guess you could say I'm not weary or wore out from the business. I just kind of got wore out of the management thing, because it just felt like if you're going to do this brokerage thing right, there's like 14 different things that a broker is responsible for. And if you're going to do it right, it's a tremendous amount of responsibility. I mean, I think it's almost impossible for one human being to be responsible for these 14 different things that we're supposedly responsible for. But I really did do my best to try and take care of those things. And I still do today, because I still have the company, but it's certainly much easier with a lesser amount of people.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, it all paid off too. I mean, we all had a great life growing up, me and all of my sisters, and we were blessed with a great education, like good high schools and everything like that. So it was definitely all worth it, but I don't know how you did it.
Yeah. I don't either. Looking back, I don't either. I don't.
You just do it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't take much credit for, I just kind of do what's in front of me. And I do feel like I was gifted with some ability. And I also feel like something about the real estate thing just really clicked with me, and I just seem well suited to it. And I've always said that I'd be happy to debate, anybody as far as the business goes. And I'm not talking about, social media and all this other stuff that's kind of came later in the game. I'm just talking about the nuts and bolts of the real estate business, being in the trench, selling real estate. it's my thing. That's all there is to it. It's my thing. And again, I don't really take credit for it. I just feel like I was given a gift, and I was actually given another gift by finding the business and being able to take care of my family, doing it. So.
And how do you feel now with me being in the business with you? Because I feel like this kind of changes a lot.
Well,
it can.
It's funny because I put your three sisters through college, and now I just feel like, you didn't go to college per se. Mm-hmm. You were kind of like me, the black sheep. And I took college courses so I could get the broker's license, but I don't have a 4-year degree or anything, but I do feel like I can help you to learn the ins and outs and the nuts and bolts of the business, and teach you the business, the right way. And I also think, I think on the outside looking in, that I don't think people really realize all the little intricate details of this business. It's just, when I look back now, there's just so much involved with this, and there's so many things that can happen. And so I'm glad I can be available to you to help you with these things as they come about, and explain to you certain ways to do things, which I don't believe other people do, or very, very few people do. And I'm glad I'm able to do that for you. And I guess that'll be my way of putting you through school. That'll be it. And I think, you and I are on the same plane as far as you want to do it right. And it's important to you to do it right. And that's certainly how I see it. So I'm happy to be there for you.
Yeah, I'm excited. And on our way here, we were talking about doing some sort of, what was it called? Like a workshop type deal in the future, like where we get people interested in buying homes, or just getting like some stuff together so we can bring people together and kind of educate and all learn together. So that's something that's going to come up in the future. We're going to talk more about for sure. And just keep your eyes out about that.
Yep.
But on another note, I want to talk about this Mustang. He just picked up this Mustang. Well, it got dropped off yesterday, right?
Yep.
Yesterday, Wednesday.
Yep.
And he's in love. But I just wanted to talk about, like, what are you gonna do with it? Like, you don't know 100%. You're kind of like,
well, I had that a while back. I bought a Shelby Cobra replica, a kit car, and I had a few guys put the thing together, and I was heavily involved in the project. And when it was done, it was a really cool car, but it was kind of hard to work on. And I guess you could say I even kind of burned out on the car. And so I sold it. And then after it was gone, I was kind of missing having something. So I pick up a little Jeep Wrangler, and I peel all the canvas off of it. And so it's a fair weather car, and it's a stick shift, and it's just something fun to bop around in. But I still felt like I was missing out on having a muscle car.
Speed.
Well, and so I just kept looking at different cars, and I wasn't necessarily focused on a Mustang. And then the new ones and stuff are really, really expensive, and I don't want to spend that kind of money. And so anyway, this 15, I found it online, and it was low miles and white, and it has this red showstopper interior, and it's a stick shift car, and it's 435 horsepower, so it's not insane fast or anything. And I, my initial reaction was, I'll put a turbo on it, or I'll supercharge it, or something like that. And once you start doing these things, it's just there's two things that happen. Number one, it's an endless amount of money that you start throwing into them. And then I'm kind of back to where I was with the Cobra, where you're always tweaking and you're always tinkering, and things are breaking, or, stuff's
a headache.
It turns into a headache. And so I was driving it home last night while the weather was nice, and I was thinking I might just leave it the way it is, at least for now. And maybe, at another time I'll pick something else up or do something different. But I don't know that I'm in a big hurry to alter it. The more I think about it, because it's just nice, and there's only so much you can do with all that power anyway. And so
I'm glad to have this on recording because his mind will change next week. But it is, I mean, like the way they make them now, they're fun from the factory,
Yeah. Oh, it's a lot of fun.
It's got plenty of power to have fun in.
Yeah. I love the body style, and it's just, it's like I said, the red interior is nice and it shifts real nice. And like I said, you just get in it, turn the key and go. And
it's got an ugly red racing stripe that's got to come off.
The stripes they're just, they're vinyl stripes. So they'll come right off, and we'll buff it out, and it'll blend, and it'll just be a pure white with a red interior. It'll be a pretty car and fun. And so.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the last thing I wanted to touch on, and then we're going to wrap it up. Just wanted to hear if you had any goals or things you wanted to accomplish in, let's say, the next 5 years. Give me 3 of them.
3 of them.
They can be vague or in depth or whatever.
I think probably one of them, I just, when I signed the paperwork on the Mustang, that was probably one of them. I think I've been, with this changes I made in my company and with the COVID thing. And I just, I think it's kind of thrown me for a loop a little bit, but I think I'm going to, ultimately I want to do my own podcast and talk about the real estate thing. And and that's going to be basically discussing, I just think there's just a lot of things that people don't know about our business. And I just like to make people aware. And part of it's just so that people can make the best decisions when it comes to buying or selling, so that they have the best experience. And so the podcast is a big thing, and I'm working on a web presence right now. And so I think I just want to get that kind of kicked in. And as far as my health goes and stuff, I'm healthy and I work out, and my diet's better than it's ever been. And my weight's, is as close to where it should be as I can imagine. And then just, I guess, I just be available to my children when they need help with anything. And I do try to be there for them. And I don't know that you can ever do everything right especially when you have 4 of them,
and they're all girls too.
Well, it's funny when you mention that, because I never even imagined having a boy. I had one brother growing up, but whenever, when Karen had a baby and it was a girl, that would just seem normal to me. Not saying I wouldn't have wanted a boy. It just seemed to me that, I don't know, that just seemed to be normal for me. It was girls, and people would give me funny looks. I'll say 4 girls, and oh my God, 4 girls. And it's just like, they really have not, they haven't been the burden that some people think they might be. They're great kids, and they're doing well. And I really feel, fortunate that the way things worked out, I just can't believe it. And then, having a granddaughter is really cool. And that was a funny story too, because
the gender reveal.
This whole thing, like gender reveal parties and stuff. I just have to laugh about that because, gender reveal, I'm 61 years old. I never heard any of that horse shit. And they had a Dodge Hellcat, and they were going to throw this
powder packet
under the tire when he does a burnout, and then it just shoots the color into the sky of whether it's blue, it's a boy, or pink, it's a girl. And the one guy's flailing a 20 around saying it's going to be a boy. And
Matt Frost.
And I'm like, I go, you might as well give that to me now, you know, and
he's like, we're taking bets. And everyone's like, it's a boy. And then I just hear my dad, nope, it's a girl. I'll bet you.
Yeah. And so I think I bought him a beer with his 20. You know what I mean? But
you're the only one. I even thought she was a boy, but he wanted another girl.
And then I guess the last thing is just to find a nice gal to be with, because it just hasn't come together either. So it's, basically just taking care of my family and kicking this new aspect of real estate in the rear, and taking care of myself and find a nice gal to be with and spend time with, and
just thriving.
I guess, yeah, that's it. That's it. Gotta make things happen because time just keeps screaming by.
For sure. Well, awesome. Ladies, you single, ready to mingle? That's gonna wrap it up for today, though. I'll definitely be bringing him on more so we can talk more about business and life and whatever. But thanks so much for tuning in, and come back next week, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.